Welcome back to Blam Blam Truckers. I'm Bees, and I'm going solo to talk to you about monks in EverQuest and whether or not you'd be interested in playing one. That's really what these videos are about. We are basing this off of my 6 roles, the 6 roles that are formed in a group. Let's cover those roles: damage, tanking, healing, pulling, crowd control, buff and debuff. I'm going to tell you right now, monks do damage, monks pull. Once in a while, monks tank, and that's it. If you're looking for a healer, you are in the wrong place. If you're looking to do crowd control, you are in the wrong place. If you're looking to buff and debuff, you can't do any of that. Not even a little wee bit. Unless you have gear that does it for you, your class does not inherently have any capacity to buff or debuff. You have very little capacity for crowd control. Depends on how good your feign death is. But that goes back to pulling, not crowd control. Your survivability is high because feign death will let you survive almost anything in this game. You have safe fall for surviving falling damage, and we're going to mostly end up talking about feign death at the end of this, but you do damage. You don't have very good armor. The lighter, you still have the agility / armor class buff from being lighter. The lower your weight, if you keep it under, I think it's initially 14 pounds, but it goes up as you level, which is a nice addition. Back in the day, it was just a straight 14 pounds. You're over. You get the bonus 14.1. You're over. You're done. No bonus. Weightless bags are a big deal. Like 100% weight reduction bags are a huge deal for monks. And you can buy 40 slots off the store, the EverQuest.com. Monks do damage. They do great damage. Are they the best melee damage class in the game? No. You expected me to say yes, weren't you? There's this huge belief in the EverQuest community that monks do more damage than any other class because barehanded, with their bare hands. That is true for the original game, kind of. Not 100% true, just kind of true, and I'll tell you why. We're going to go to our next webpage here, our last webpage. We're doing this stuff backwards. So if you go to the EQ progression server, eqprogression.com/monk, you're going to get the monk page, and that's not this. This is the basics page. If you look here, it's going to give you the ratio. As you level your hands, get better and better ratio. Excuse me 1 second. Oh, it has been a long day. So, at 60, you have a ratio of 23/38. Now, in original, you don't get to 60. But if you do that out, if you do it with the math, that's 0.605. Now, I'm not worried about the epic here. Oh, well, the Monk Epic allows you to get a clicky haste, and you can also not only have a clicky haste, you can have a weapon haste. That's just another kind of haste, and they're additive, kind of. And then you can also have bard haste. Yeah, and you can get, instead of your clicky haste, you can get what do you call it there? Celerity from an enchanter, which is super great haste, and then 41%, I believe, is the highest haste you get off a weapon. Then whatever celerity is 50%, then you add in the bard to whatever the bard wants to give you, and that will bring you to 100%. You don't get over haste until V3 haste comes out, which I forget. Is that Lucklin? It's not. Yeah, it's Lucklin. Might be Plains of Power. So you can go over 100% haste. We're not worried about haste right now. We're We're just not. Because, yes, you can get clicky haste, but other melee classes can get clicky haste on an item too. Or they can just get celerity from an enchanter, and now they're not worried about haste, about clicky haste, because they have an enchanter giving them celerity, which they will have in any raid. But we're talking about grouping here. It's nice. Not that the monk epic isn't nice. Not that the fact that your fists do 0.60 isn't bad. 0.605 at 60, not at 50. That's both fists. So for a monk, for a rogue to be able to do that, they need to get the equivalent. This is just for auto attack damage. They need to get 2 weapons that do 0.6 damage. Can they do that in Kunark? Yes, they can do that by Kunark. You've got your epic, which is, I'm not saying it's the easiest epic in the game, but it's that or the shaman epic. Or the wizard epic. The wizard epic's wicked easy. If you have a group that can do the kills, a guild that can do the kills. So I would put wizard at 3rd, because it's just not that hard. It's 4 kills. 4 kills to get your wizard epic. What else is going on here? That's totally different. We'll talk about that with wizards. We probably won't actually. It's not that big of a deal. So rogue can do that. It's got 2 weapons it needs to get. One is a plane of sky weapon, which will get them to 0.6, and then their epic, which will get them 0.6. You equip them, and now congratulations, you are effectively as damaging with your regular auto attack damage as a what do you call those guys? Monk. And then you've got, what's better, backstab or the monk's attack skills? It's backstab. Monks can get out damaged. It's hard to, it's not easy to do. I'm not saying it's easy to do. And I'm not saying there isn't a big advantage to just being able to level up to 60 and now you have the 2 great weapons, lefty and righty. I did that backwards. This is lefty, this is righty. But it'll come out backwards on the camera because the camera's like a mirror. Anyway. Monks are incredibly powerful just from leveling up. They don't need all sorts of crazy extra damage. They don't need crazy weapons. They do get weapons that are pretty cool. And in the TLP, you can put proc attacks into the AUG slots of your weapons. So you don't have to wait till, AUGs start. When did AUGs come into game? Eldon? I think they come in Eldon. You can do it from day 1 if you have the cash. And that's a lot of cash. It's not cheap to do it. But by level 60, it's an inconsequential amount of money to put a level 50 and a level 40 Wolfenite piece into one of each weapon. Monks, you're looking for something by 60, you're looking for weapons that do better than 0.6, one in each hand. You can find that. Or you can get pretty close. Probably by Velius, you would be able to do it. I don't have this web page up in front of me. I'm not going to stop and do a whole web search. Monks get that. That's a big advantage. That is a big plus in the monk column. You don't need to get weapons to do insane damage. You don't need great armor to do insane damage and dodge a blow. You get some amazing armor choices later in game, but you're never going to have the kind of armor class that a tank does. You just aren't. You're going to be able to tank some, but only if everybody can do less damage than you in the group. Which just isn't the case. People are going to have to, if you're tanking for a group, and I'm not saying you can't, but it's not an ideal situation. You want somebody who can take the hits better, and you want somebody who can better, because you're not, rangers mitigate damage better than you do if they're decently equipped. I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm telling you how it is. Rogues can out damage you from, not by much, but they can from, but it just keeps, like monks and rogues, they diverge. Rogues keep getting better and better damage, and monks don't. I don't mean that in a bad way. Monks are incredible damage dealers. They really are. They're way up there on the top of the list, but they're not at the top of the list. Monks do damage though, and it's crazy. And you get two attacks. So every other class gets one attack that they can do. Every other melee class gets one attack that they can do during combat. They have one cooldown, one rotation. So even if you play a barbarian rogue who gets both slam and backstab, you can only use either slam or backstab. You can't use both. Use backstab. It's the most devastating melee attack in the game. Rogues, on the other hand, monks, on the other hand, and then warriors can get both kick and bash. And kick does more damage. Bash has an interrupter to it. So as a warrior, you might want to choose between the two. Rangers get kick. I don't know if they get bash. I don't think they do. Why would they want to? They have to equip a shield. Paladins and what do you call them? Shadow Knights only get bash. That's all you get. All right, let's go back to the P99 page here. So yeah, the takeaway from that is yes, monks without needing a weapon have two of the most powerful weapons in the two of the best ratios in the game. You don't get any stats from it. You don't get any. You can't put it in a melee aug, but they are devastatingly powerful weapons, lefty and righty. You don't have to do anything. You just got them right there. Huge point, especially if you're starting from level 1 and everybody's starting from level 1 when the server opens. You don't have anything to twink with. You don't have any cash to twink with. Hey, you got lefty and righty. That's enough to level with. So what if your gear's not as good? Your AC bonus is amazing for having low weight. You get some weightless bags from the store. You get some weightless bags from inside the game. You're going to be able to stand to that 14. It's a pretty great class. And then we get into the skills. And we've got the combat skills, but excuse me. This information I'm about to give you might be out of date. It's from the P99 website. It might be slightly different on the TLP. It's been a while. I don't remember. But at level 1, you start with kick already. And if you go through all these skills here, which I have on this chart, 1, you get 1 hand blunt, 2 hand blunt, defense, hand-to-hand, offense, dodge. You get dodge from level 1. That's nice. Dual wield. You get dual wield from level 1. You go out naked to go fight, and whether you get your shirt from your guildmaster or whatever, but you're effectively naked when you go out and fight. You've got dodge and you've got dual wield at level 1. You can use lefty and righty from level 1. That's pretty awesome. Kick, mend. Mend is a self-heal. You can use it once in a while. It can also hurt you. And throwing, all from level 1. At level 5, you get round kick. Now, round kick and kick. So with a monk, you can do something with your fists, and you can do an attack with your feet. But you can't do an attack with your feet until level 10 you can't do a secondary attack with your fists until level 10 when you get Tiger Claw. So at level 10, you're going to be rocking round kick and Tiger Claw. At level 15, you get at level 12, you get block. Level 15, you get double attack. Level 17, we get feign death. We're gonna feign back to that in a minute. Double attack, that's the earliest in the game anyone gets double attack. I'm not saying nobody else gets it at 15. I think warriors and rogues do, but they have to wait to get dual wield until later, until like level 10. So you're sitting there, you've been dual wielding since level 1 with lefty and righty. You hit 12 and you're picking up block. You hit 15 and you're picking up double attack. You've saved all your skill points for 17 when you get feign death. You pick up intimidation, which you will eventually, you might consider leveling when you're soloing, but you're not going to be using it in groups. 20, Eagle Strike. 25, Dragon Punch Tail Rake. That's it. So at 20, you get Eagle Strike, which I believe is a punch, and then it is replaced. Is it a punch or is it a kick? I forget. Let's click on it. Let's see what it says. Click. A monk's special attack, Eagle Strike, is trainable at level 20, where it replaces Tiger Claw as the main monk's special attack. It is superseded by Dragon Punch or Tail Rake at 25. So you're replacing Tiger Claw, which is a punch, which means Eagle Strike is a punch, and then Dragon Punch or Tail Rake is also considered a fist move, despite the fact that you're using a tail if you're an icky Ixar. At 30, you get Flying Kick, which is your highest level attack. So, end game, you're going to be rocking the Dragon Punch / Tail Rake, Dragon Punch or Human Tail Rake if you're icky Ixar, and then you add in Flying Kick at 30. You're pretty devastating. You also have Disarm and Riposte in there too, both useful. Disarm less so, but useful. Alright, so that means you can auto skill both of these. Auto skill Dragon Punch, auto skill Flying Kick. So you don't have to do anything more than just go in and turn on auto attack. It's pretty cool. Now we're going to talk about Feign Death. Feign Death is the strongest ability in the game. I'm not exaggerating or kidding. Feign Death as a skill for a monk is almost game-breaking. It's not game-breaking, but it's almost game-breaking. When you feign death successfully, and you don't always feign death successfully, you always have a chance of failing, you drop off the aggro list for all mobs in the area. So, you go from where you are on the aggro list. So let's get Megatron up here to do a nice visual for you guys. You guys seem to love these visuals, all 5 of you, 30 of you who watch, 5 to 30. Got Megatron up here, and he's like, I'm mad at you. And you're the monk here as Sunstreaker, and you guys have been fighting. And you're like, I'm losing this fight. I just don't want to fight Megatron anymore. I'm going to play Possum. Feign Death. And if it's successful, Megatron is like, he's dead. I should probably stop hitting him. Should I? No, maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Maybe I will. Yeah, there's not really no point. I should probably loot his corpse, but I'm not that smart because I'm a mob. Alright, I'm going to go. And he leaves. And then you're like, just kidding, I'm alive! That's Feign Death. Why is this game breaking? It's not. It's close, but it's not. When you pull, and you can do this. Well, first off, you're in the middle of a fight. You decide you don't want to fight anymore. You got an escape click. You just click it, boom, you're done with the fight. And also, you stink at it. At level 17, run! Don't walk. Run back to your trainer and throw every point and dollar you have into training that skill as high as you can get it. Don't be like, I want to save some of my points for something else. No! No, you don't! Go train Feign Death as high as you can get it to go. Spend money on it. Max that thing, max it out to your level if you can, which I don't know if you can or not. It depends on how much money you have at the time. But get it as high as you can go and practice it whenever you get the chance. When you're just sitting around waiting for a boat or a teleport or for somebody to show up, you should be hitting whatever your you have it on your bar, on your number bar there. Whatever skill number you have it at, like 5 or 7 or 2 or wherever you have it, hit that. Then hit Control S to stand up and hit it again, and Control S and Feign Death, and Control S and Feign Death, and Control S and Feign Death. You want to practice this as much. You want this maxed out all the time. This is the greatest skill in the game, and I'm not kidding. You can argue for whatever other skill you want. It doesn't affect the game like Feign Death does. The reason why you're a great puller, Feign Death. The reason why you can why you don't need Invis, Feign Death. Invis is nicer, but Invis fails. Feign Death rarely fails. If you've got it maxed out for your level, it is amazing what you can do. We call it a floppy run. So you flop run across the zone. So if you're going through a zone and you've got you run through as far, and you're approaching the group, and you've got them hopefully at a distance because you got J-boots on or something to increase your run speed or whatever. and you're bringing with you 80 mobs, and then you come right to the group, and you're a little bit away from group range, so the group would aggro, flop. You're just here. I'll give you the visual. You're a little bit away from the rest of the group, and you're meeting up with your buddy Megatron, who used to be your enemy, but now you're friends. And you see him, and you're like, "Oh, I'm almost within group range. I got a million things on me." Flop. And then you wait for your aggro list on X targets to go away, and then you stand up again. And if they pop back on X targets, you fall back down. And then if they stand up, then you stand up again. If they show up on X targets, you flop back down. You can just drop aggro. It's that easy. It's ridiculous. Everybody else is trying to get rid of mobs that are chasing them. They have to get to a zone line. You just have to hit number 2 or whatever you have. Feign death. Whatever you have, whatever button you have, feign death brought to on your keyboard. 2. Oh look, they all went away. They don't hate me anymore. You do get sneak eventually at level 8. Safe fall at 3. Ixars can forage, but that's a racial. Feign death is a game changer, and also you can feign pull, which means you go out, you piss off, you use your throwing axe. You get in TLPs, you get a couple of melee tombs available early on. Throw stone, and the only reason they put these in the game is so warriors could get provoke at 20. Throw stone, elbow strike, which is worthless. Don't use elbow strike. But it's added damage, bees. Fine, use it. I don't care. You want to add in that extra 5 damage that it maxes out at, by all means. It's by the time you can afford it, maybe you can afford it at level 5 when it's available. Your fists are already doing way more damage. They just are. It might make a difference at 5. It might make a difference at 10, but by 12 or 15, it's not making a difference. You're sitting there like, why am I wasting my time hitting this button? And it slowly eats up your stamina. Save your stamina for more important things. Throw stone, however, a lot of monks love throw stone, because if they run out of throwing, axes or whatever they're throwing, they can always throw stone. This is a good argument, except the range for throw stone is like 10. The range on a throwing axe is 150. Now, I assume that's feet, but man, they don't give us an actual measurement. The range on a throwing spear is 200. That's the kind you buy from the vendor. That's the cheapest. That is, for most of the pulling you're going to be doing, a throwing axe is perfect. It's absolutely perfect. You don't need 200 on your... 150 is farther away than casters get for most of their spells. You get a nice long-range throw with a nice throwing axe. It hits the target. You're just looking to pull. You're not looking to do ranged damage on this thing with auto fire. You're not. You're just not. Yeah. So you throw your throwing axe. You get it. If you need to use throwing spears because you're doing long-distance pulling for some reason, they're dirt cheap. Relatively dirt cheap. They're more expensive than throwing axes. And you can check EQtraders.com to find out where they're at. So, yeah, they're not hard to buy. They're not, some hidden secret thing. Bards and, I don't think bards can use bows, but bards and rogues can use bows. Bards and rogues and monks all should be using throwing axes. None of you guys are looking to do anything more than just throw one axe, get something's attention, and bring it back to the group. Otherwise, why would any of those classes be doing ranged damage? Well, rogues get crits from throwing. Okay. That's great. And that crit from throwing does a little bit of damage. I'll grant you that. It's always nice to do a little bit more damage. It is. It really is. Having said that, you're going to walk in there and start backstabbing and doing your auto attack damage. You're going to do so much more damage. I think monks might get crits from throwing too. I don't remember. I don't care. It's not going to come up. look, I got a crit on that. That's amazing. That's wonderful. Get the mob back here. So flopping while pulling. So you bring two mobs. So you hit one. So you get two mobs here, right? Bone Crusher and Megatron, like we always do. You hit Megatron. That gives him more aggro on you. And Bone Crusher comes with him because he's his friend. He doesn't have damage aggro, he just has friend aggro, pumping out of friends. So they come running along, and you're you know, Sunstreaker here is the monk. You go running along, and I flop, and they both stand there for, I don't know, 5-6 seconds. And then Megatron hangs around, but after about 5 seconds, Bone Crusher and any other friends who are just here for friend aggro, they leave. I'm like, look, buddy, I know he hit you, but he's dead, so we're gonna go. I'm gonna stick around for a second, make sure he's really, really dead. I wanna make sure he's really, really dead. At that point, when they leave and they drop off your X targets, you pop back up. Hi, I'm actually alive, and they're far enough away that they're not gonna aggro anymore. See ya, losers. I'm bringing one guy back to camp. That is one way to feign death pull. The other involves the tank. You like the tank, right? So you come out, you brought, you know, Megatron and Bone Crusher and a few extras, and you come down and you flop. And they're standing around, yeah, man, maybe, yeah, maybe. And they start, one of these, the Bone Crusher starts walking off, Megatron actually got hit. The tank, the main assist or whatever, we'll use Hound here, because I have some of these wonderful blocky transformers. Hound hits him with an arrow. Boom. Now he's more mad at you, at Hound, than he is mad at you. He goes chasing after Hound. You flop up. Hi! You come in and you start pounding on him with lefty and righty. That's what you do. That's the two kinds of feign pulling. If you have an enchanter in the group, why are you making the monk pull? Never make the monk pull if you have an enchanter in the group. Monks do a world of damage without any gear. That's just something they do. With lefty and righty, they do a world of damage. They don't need to go out and get a better weapon. They should, eventually. But it's got to be better than lefty and righty, and lefty and righty cap out at 0.6. That's really high up there. That's better than a short sword of Yakisha, which pops out at what, 0.3? 724? How many times does 7 go into 24? It's not 4, because 4 times 7 is... 4 times 7 is 28? Does that sound right? Yeah, 28. Like, is it 32, or is that 4 times 8? No. Listen, when you're doing these presentations, one part of your brain is active. When you're trying to remember stuff, another part of your brain activates. And that part of my brain isn't turned on right now. Right now I'm doing the talking and presentation thing at 30 minutes. Monks are awesome. They pull great. But if you've got an enchanter in the group, that negates their... What they are good at is the other way to use... Another way. There's a lot of ways to use feign death. You want to scout out an area, you send in the monk, and he doesn't have invis. He doesn't need invis. Or she, or it. You run in, there's 15 guys here. Flop. So there's 2 there, there's 3 there, there's 7 there. Let's pull the 2. Up, throw the throwing axe, turn around. Wahoo! That's the only reason to send in a monk instead of somebody else. And frankly, an invis is going to do that better anyway, most of the time. Monks are still great pullers. You should master all that flop pulling I was telling you about. You really should. But, yeah. You tank. You barely. Only if you can do more damage. You do a lot of damage, and it's easy to get. It's not like a rogue where you got to get your epic and then your plane of sky just to keep up at Cunard. Not that they're all that hard to get at Cunard. They're not very easy quests to do with a guild. And I think you only have one epic fight as a rogue. It's not epic, I think it's a group fight in Kithcore Forest at night. I think. That's the only thing you have to kill that might require more than one group. It's not soloable, but it's very easy to do. You're talking group fights. We're not talking like... So the Cleric Epic, for instance, has nothing to do with monks. Monks have the pain in the ass epic, pain in the butt epic to do. I apologize. I try not to cuss. I fail, but I try not to. So I'm sorry. You got a pain epic to do, but if you get it, you get a nice. You get the Bard song, Jonathan's Whistling War Song. That's a nice little buff that you get. 25% haste and some strength and attack. It's a nice song. It's a nice buff. What else is going on here? I don't know. I'm at half an hour. I'm tired. I actually took a nap before I did this video, not because I wanted to, but because I got done with work today and I sat down and I'm like, I'm gonna have to get my monk stuff together. I need a couple of websites up. And I'm doing the websites, and as I get these websites up, I out. The rest of these disciplines that come through at end game here, post 50, most of them, they're nice. You should know what they are. You should use them. They're nice disciplines, but all melee get disciplines. Yeah. They're pretty cool, actually. Some of them do more damage, some of them help you resist damage. Yeah, like, what is it? Thunder Kick at 52, which you can't see on this screen. Now you can. Thunder Kick at 52 increases flying kick damage. So you hit Thunder Kick discipline, then you do your Thunder Kick. You do your flying kick. And it increases your chance to hit by 20% with flying kick. It's a nice one-time, bam, do a little more damage. Whirlwind discipline, increased chance to riposte by 10,000%. So if you are tanking and you have all the mob's attention, riposte pushes their attack away and gives an attack of your own. If they, now it only lasts for a couple of seconds, but that's nice. And then you've got Voidance to avoid melee damage, blah 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 blah. All skill damage modifier. So Inner Flame increases all your skills damages by 50% for a few seconds, 10 seconds, whatever it is. Which is nice. 100 Hands effect for 100 hands, 100 fisted disciplines. That's a gigantic haste with over haste. It ignores your other, it doesn't ignore, it adds to your other haste as a discipline. It's pretty amazing. But everybody gets that. Rogues get a version of that. Rogues get a version of all these. Warriors get a version of some of these. They also get some amazing disciplines for tanking, which their defensive disciplines are better than yours, but their offensive disciplines aren't as good. But we're not talking about warriors. We're talking about monks. Monks are fantastic. I recommend, if you do play a monk, learn how to flop pull. I explained it very basically. It's not much more complicated than that. And if you have an enchanter in the group who's halfway decent, you're not going to need to flop pull at all, which leads to the question as to why one of your highest damage classes is leaving the fight to go get more mobs, when you could send, I don't know, not the paladin. You can't send the tank because the tank's tanking. Bard is great, but send somebody else to pull. No one's going to listen to me. These videos don't get the kind of traction to change the way the game is played, but it is a mistake to send as a group, it is a mistake. Maybe you'll probably only do this with your friends, to send out one of your most consistent damage sources to go pull when you could send out, I don't know, a ranger or a bard, or, not that rangers don't do a ton of melee damage, we'll be talking about that later, but rangers do spike damage with their spells. They can out-damage monks. They really can. Their melee damage, their auto-attack damage is on par with monks and rogues, depending on the weapons they have, and they have some nice weapons. Yeah, they're a nice little class, but there's the reason why they can outdo on certain mob fights, monks and rogues, is because they add in spell damage, which is spike damage. So send your ranger out to go pull, they can't keep up with backstab or both a fist attack and a kick attack. Like, and they're honestly, before they get geared up, which we're talking about right now, starting fresh on new TLB, monks are going to outdamage everybody until they get their epics and whatnot. They're going to get to 60, and they got .605 at lefty and righty. That's really good. You didn't have to do anything but level to get there. No quests, nothing. You don't have to kill anything in particular. You just have to kill things in general. Lefty, righty, .605. Ragebringer for the monk, I'm sorry, for the rogue is .6 even. What's the difference for that statistically? Practically nothing. But they had to go do a quest, a relatively easy epic quest. You only had to get to 60. Hi, this is lefty, this is lefty, this is righty. It's different for you guys on the with the mirrored, whatchamacallit. I'm doing lefty and it's on the right side of the vision. On the right side of the camera, I can see the camera. Alright. Monks are awesome. Go play monk. If you want, if this appeals to you, if you want, going back to the six rolls in a group. Damage is your first roll. Pulling is your second roll. Tanking, which you're not great at, is your third roll. A wizard can pull off you by accident. And I don't mean that like, because, oh, I'm not paying attention to how much damage I'm doing. No, I mean, you don't have any skills whatsoever as a monk to hold aggro. You just do more damage. Also, feign death is the ultimate aggro getter-ritter of. So if you're sitting there in a raid, in a mob, in a raid, in a group, whatever, and you see, because you got X targets up, you see that you are starting to eclipse the main tank's aggro. So you've got the aggro running already, you got X targets up, everybody can see how much aggro you have. You can see how much aggro you have. As soon as you go red, and red is at like 90%, flop! Hit feign death! You pop back up from feign death, you're at 0 aggro, baby! It's this fast. Are you ready? Click, Control Shift, whatever your number it is. Let's say it's 5 or 4 or 3, whatever. Say it's 4. This is how fast it is for you to go from almost stealing aggro from the tank to no aggro. None. This is so stupid. 3, you flop. Here, where's my buddy here? You're fighting the mob, and you're fighting the mob, and you're fighting the mob, you're fighting the mob. Ooh, I'm Sunstreaker, I'm fighting the mob, I'm a monk now. Wow, wow, wow. Why do I have a gun in my hand if I'm a monk? Wow, 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 fight mob. Yeah, woo! Yeah, I'm way up there on the aggro meter. Oh, look, I'm way up there. I'm going to eclipse the tank by doing too much damage. That's a bad thing. What'll I do? Flop, stand up. Hey, I'm at 0 aggro. You should never, ever pull off the tank. You control your own, you have better control over your aggro than, or hate, or whatever you want to call it, than any other class. Because all it takes is a flop. And if the first flop doesn't work, you are not a Necro with a spell that takes 1 second to cast and 10 seconds to recast, because it's got a cooldown timer on it. That's for Necros and Shadow Knights. You are a monk. You got the instant flop. It is a game changer. You have no idea how much I want to play a monk. I'm planning on playing a paladin because I haven't done that since for years. Years and years. But monk is usually my number 2 choice. Chanter is like my number 10 choice because I'm tired of being a Chanters. But monk's way up there. It is a fun class to play. Highly recommended. Flop City, baby. You just flop. You feign death. It sounds stupid. I'm hearing myself say it, and I'm like, it's Flop City. You flop run. You just flop off the aggro. Floppity flop flop floppity flop 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 flop. Yeah, it's awesome. You're a flip flop. You're a flip flopping monk. Oh, Ixar or human. Those are your 2 choices until Froggies come in the game. Froggies might be coming into the game. They're bringing in Beast Lords and Berserkers this time around. Who knows what other races they might drop in at start. They haven't announced anything. I assume they're not doing it. But you can be a Froggy. You can be a dragon, dragon human, which looks just like a regular human, but with tattoos and some dragon's breath. What a silly. Make them look like dragons, for crying out loud. Anyway, Dragonkin man. Ooh, I'm a Dragonkin. You can tell from my tattoos and the way that when I breathe, smoke comes out of my mouth. Dude, smoke your cigarette somewhere else. You can tell I don't really care for Dragon. It's just maybe it's a huge thing in the lore. I never get that far in the game. I have the option whenever I make a character in one current live, and I'm like, this is silly. And I'm probably wrong. There's probably a great reason to be Draken, but I haven't found it yet. Anyway, those are the 4 races that can be monks. Ixar are the huge advantage. We will take a look at that over here on the monk page for P99. We will go over this. Why you want to choose an Ixar. Why you're going to choose an Ixar. Why I recommend choosing a human faction. Humans can go almost anywhere. If you're an agnostic human, you can go almost anywhere and not be attacked in the original game. If you are an Ixar monk, you will be attacked everywhere you go in the original game. Let's take a quick look at stats. So the stats that matter for monks are strength, strength, and strength. Secondary stats are dexterity and stamina. Not necessarily in that order, but yeah, in that order. Why do I say in that order? Because if you're doing your job right in group combat, and we're mostly talking about group combat, we talk a little bit about soloing. By the way, monks can solo, lower level cons, maybe even cons, but you're going in the same way a warrior or a rogue would. You're going in there to, if your gear is better than average, you can take a higher level mob, but mostly you'd be soloing lower level mobs. And the reason why you can solo them is because you can drop aggro. You can drop aggro like that. It's called flopping, baby. So you get into a fight and things go wrong, flop. You get down to half health and the mob is not close to death, flop. Go flop run somewhere safe, or use an invisibility pot. They're instantaneous. Go somewhere safe and heal up. Use bind wound and mend, and you can heal up to like 70% now, or a little over 70% with bind wound. And then at the end of that, you mend. Keep your mend maxed out, but you want to max out mend through usage. You don't want to spend any training points on it. You want to save all your training points for level 17 and get as high as you can with feign death, because you want that as high as it can go at 17. After that, if you want to throw some points into mend later on, go nuts. You want to throw some points into sneak later on so you don't have to try and max it out yourself? Sneak is incredibly useful. Sneak makes you indifferent con for selling and whatnot, and it takes away aggro. You're not on kill if you're behind a mob. So if you're physically behind a mob or a vendor or whatever, and you have sneak running and it's working, you can walk right past them, or you can you can buy and sell with a vendor with sneak. We'll talk about that more with rogues because they always have sneak maxed out. We're talking about stats here. You're a damage machine. You're not a tank. You can tank, and you should improve your stamina and your hit points. Yay! Wisdom and int mean nothing to you. Charisma affects your prices, how much you pay for and sell for at a vendor. That's not a big deal. Go buy a couple of steins. Later in the game, you're going to buy from a pottery crafter opal encrusted steins. They sell for like 25 to 50 plat a piece. That's based off the price of their component parts. If you're in a guild and a pottery guy has a whole bunch of them, he might just give them to you because, hey, we're buddies. You might make them yourself if you're one of those wonderful, rare people who enjoy trade skills. We love you. The rest of us love you. Let me know you exist. I will feed you plat and all. What do you need? Clay? I'll go over to the Gorge of King Zorb, and I will get you all the clay you need. Want me to send you all your rusty weapons so you can make me what do you call it? Bandit armor? Done deal. Mailing is free in this game at the parcel vendor. All right. Strength affects your damage. Stack it to 2 till you get to 255. That's all you really care about. Dex affects the speed at which you learn weapon skills. Who cares? And the rate of your proc. That's it. It's not huge, but it's nice. And getting your proc rate up is important. And whether or not you hit with, your melee attacks, but you're going to be hitting anyway. Both dexes are fine where they're at. Then comes stamina. This is how many hit points you have. This is an important stat if you're soloing, but we're not talking about soloing. We're talking about, what do you call it? Grouping. And then you have agility. Agility impacts your armor class. And as we all know, armor class beats stamina. It is the one thing every tank wants to stack. I say this every once in a while. AC is more important than stamina. And it is. Stamina is important. AC is more important. Agility has almost zero impact. It is not worth increasing agility after 75. 75 is a drop-off point. Once you get to 75, you're fine. Let's look at these stats here. See these stats here? Oh, look, they're so wonderfully statty. Both races, human and Ixar, have an agility over 75. 85 for humans, 100 for Ixar. You have slightly higher agility as an Ixar. Yay. Don't put any points into it. Take the points out of it. You have 95 dex as an Ixar. You have 85 dex as a human. You have 80 strength, 80 stamina. Ixar have 75 strength, 75 stamina. From a stats point of view, humans are beating out Ixar here. But Ixar have the racials, and the racials are huge. You get regen as an Ixar, which only adds 1 point until you get up to, I don't know what level, 50 I think, and then you start getting significantly more. Does it impact the game? Yep. Not a lot. And eventually with alternate advancement points, humans can get their regen as high as an Ixar's. If you want to play human, play human. If you want to play Ixar, play Ixar. Humans have an easier run of it. Ixar get an AC bonus from their scales. Ixar are easier to play by a little bit. We're talking a 5-point difference in strength. That'll be evened out by Elias, no problem. A 5-point difference in stamina. And that's the two most important stats you're looking at, really. Dex is, I'm not saying focus on stamina, focus on dex. Get your dex up there, but dex has a small impact on your proc rate. It is nice to have. It is not huge. It's significant, but not majorly significant. It is noticeable. And by Velius, all your stats will have evened out by end game. Regen, however, you can't fix until the moon. At the moon, you can finally get your regen for human monks. You can get it up past as equal to Ixar. Humans, you can do your epic quests a little bit easier because you don't have to faction grind as much. Other quests you want to do, you don't have to faction grind as much unless you want to go do Celestial Fists, which is, I believe, easier for Ixar. I believe you have to, because it starts in Kabilis, however you want to pronounce the Ixar city. So, bear that in mind. Your epic is harder, but Celestial Fist is easier. Faction-wise, straight up, everybody's going to be making Ixar monks. And Field of Bone is the best newbie zone in the game. And that's in it, the Ixar newbie zone. You can get all the way to 12, then you go into the Currents Tower and you go all the way to 20. It is cake. No running, a little bit of running inside the zone. You don't run to another zone. You start in Field of Bone, you get to level 2 or maybe 3 on the really, really low level mobs, the level 1 mobs at the end of the run on the grass. And I'm going to tell you guys this because it's so freaking easy. So you run out of the city. You follow the path to the end of the grass. There's going to be mobs there. You kill those mobs until you get level 2. You run north from that point to the spider caves. You go in the spider caves and you fight low-level spiders till you hit level 6. You can leave at 5. However you want to do it. Spiders, and you can't run out of spiders though unless everybody's doing this all at the same time. You leave the spider caves, you sell your loot, even with a 40 slot. You go and you sell at one of the clock merchants. Not clockwork merchants, but Ixar merchants are called clocks for some reason. So you go sell at the merchant. You don't even have to go back into the city for this. There's merchants outside the Field of Bone in those ruined buildings there by the entrance to the city. Then you go to the bones, the spine of the dragon. Is it Trachanon? I don't remember. The spine of the dragon that's left there, the dragon corpse. And there are these big plate-looking things coming out of the ground. And inside of that, at the bottom of it, the mobs are 6 to 8. At the top of it, the mobs are pushing, they're around 12. 12 to 15, I think. Anyway, Kern's Tower is on the eastern side of this. So you get up to about 12 and you can go into Kern's. You go into Kern's, and Kern's will take you to 20 by going up and down in Kern's Tower. By the time you're 20, now you're ready to go leave Field of Bone and Kern's Tower and go kill other stuff. That's level 1 through 20. There's no particular reason. If you're doing it no life version, you can't get through this with a group by the end of your first day. You should be able to hit 20. Just from Field of Bone and Kern's Tower. Faster if you get a really good group. So, think about it. That's a huge advantage for Ixar. Humans can start in Kinos or Koinos or Freeport, depending on which deity you follow. Quellius starts you in Freeport. Agnostic starts you in Kinos, Koinos, or I have that backwards. Quellius will start you in one city. Agnostic will start you in the other. What else? They don't have as clear of a leveling path. There's some pretty. The standard leveling path in Classic is, and I'm not kidding here, Crushbone, Unrest, Lower Guck. You might have a little Mistmore in there. Lower Guck, and Lower Guck will get you to 50. But if you want to get there when you hit 46 to 48, you go to the hole. You're done. You hit 50. Boom. Done. Kunar's going to change that up some, but not a lot for the first week, because you just don't have wizards and druids to port you around, and you don't have gear until you get some 50s, and it takes about 50s and 60s, and it takes a week or so to get to 50 or 60 for most people, because most people aren't going to be no-lifing it. They have jobs. This is an old person game. We're bringing in our kids. We're not like, changing the world here. Yeah. Most people can't know life it. It's going to be about a week before the population gets to the point where you can reliably have a wizard or a druid around to port you that you have to pay. They usually don't charge much in the first week, but a couple of plat, 5 plat, 10 plat, that'll get you a port from somewhere to somewhere else. There's almost always a druid porting in the tunnel. In Commonlands Tunnel. Alright, I went way longer than I wanted to. Monks are fun. Go play a monk. And keep on trucking, you blam blam truckers.